Melon Heads and Demons to chimps with porcupine quills. Here are 12 of the strangest humanoid cryptids. Welcome to Crypto Fun Fridays. Number 12, Nightcrawler. This cryptid is also known as the Fresno Alien and has appeared in that city as well as Yosemite National Park. It's described as a thin white humanoid that stands around 4 feet tall and has no arms, or at least none that can be discerned. Reports also claim that it wears a type of gown or cloak. Indigenous peoples of the region claim the creatures arrived on Earth from a swamp-like planet and have been here for a long time. The Nightcrawlers are viewed as benevolent beings that will help harmonize the world by strengthening the bond between humans and nature. Tennessee Wildman. The origins of this cryptid reach back to the 1800s. It's said to stand up to 9 feet tall and has blazing red eyes. Now, this is one of those cryptids that fit the Sasquatch mold, tall, covered in dark or gray ginger hair, and it's known to issue a bone-chilling war cry, along with a foul stench not unlike the skunk ape. Extremely strong, fast, and agile, the creature seems to target dogs and women in particular. Several reports of the Wildman attempting to capture women have been reported, but from what we could tell, those attempts have been largely unsuccessful. The last reported sighting occurred around 2 decades ago, but it's thought the creature still inhabits the mountains of Tennessee. The Faceless People. Now, the Faceless People are said to be mutant humanoids that live in the backwoods of Monroe County in Connecticut, and they're said to live in a rundown farmhouse there with a man who supposedly acts as the caretaker. They're described as being pale-skinned and having no facial features. They do have membranes stretched across the area where the eyes would be and have stumps for noses, but no outer ears, only holes. We couldn't find out much more about these creatures, but they do sound pretty bizarre. Have you heard of them? The Beast of Bray Road. Now, this beast was described as resembling a bear, although Bigfoot might be the better comparison. Initially reported in 1936, it was seen on a back road of Elkhorn, Wisconsin, and was said to be a bipedal creature standing around 7 feet tall and weighing up to 700 pounds. Some accounts refer to it as a werewolf, although no records mention the beast transforming from a human into a wolf, or the other way around for that matter. Some cryptozoologists have speculated the animal could be some sort of unrecognized species of wild dog or a wolf-dog hybrid. Sightings occurred into the late 1980s and early 90s, and that prompted a local newspaper reporter to investigate those stories, and she was later convinced the witnesses were telling the truth about what they saw. The Moehau, also known as the Moehau. These cryptids are found in the Coromandel mountain range of New Zealand's North Island and are described as savage creatures that are half man, half beast. They have long, shaggy hair and ape-like features, although they do go about the size of a normal fella from most accounts. They're said to be aggressive critters and have long fingers with razor-sharp claws that are used to kill the prey. Local legend says that even if a Moehau's head and limbs are hacked off, it can pull itself back together and carry on. Solomon Islands Giants. Here's a cryptid that sounds kind of similar to the Dark Watchers, which we'll get to shortly. Sightings of giant creatures have been reported in the Solomon Islands located east of Papua New Guinea in Oceania. Creatures described as having long dark hair, protruding brows, bulging red eyes, and wide gaping mouths have been said to stand as tall as 15 feet. In addition to leaving footprints around construction sites, the giants have been known to kidnap humans. In one case, a woman was kidnapped and taken as a wife by a giant. She later had a child by the creature. Locals claim such incidents are not uncommon. Melon Heads. These small critters have appeared in forested areas of Ohio, Michigan, and Connecticut, and are named for the large, bulbous noggins. Stories about the origin vary, but they do seem to follow a common theme. That is, the melon heads being children who were used by scientists as guinea pigs. After the brains were injected with chemicals, the heads grew disproportionately large. They developed hydrocephalus, a condition where fluid in the brain can enlarge the head and result in brain damage. The children are said to have eventually gone insane scene and killed the lead research scientist and then burned the lab to the ground. Retreating into the forest, they survived by hunting down animals and cannibalizing anyone unfortunate enough to wander through the territory. The Dover Demon. In 1977, sightings of this unusual creature were reported in Dover, Massachusetts. A teenager claimed to see a creature with a humanoid appearance sitting on top of a stone wall. Soon after, more reports came in from other witnesses, claiming it was around 3.5 feet tall, with a slender build, tendril-like fingers, and a large head with eyes that glowed either orange or green, depending on the account. And while it was evidently bipedal, it would walk on all fours. Because the description is evocative of the gray aliens associated with UFOs, some people think the Dover Demon could have been an extraterrestrial. Others think it might have been a mutated animal or some species unknown to science. Whatever the critter was, it didn't hang around for long. After a brief spate of sightings, the creature vanished. What do you think it might have been? Moehau. Now this is a small red fellow with a disproportionately large head, a huge toothless mouth, and has suckers located on its hands and feet. It's found in the mythology of Australian Aborigines and is said to inhabit fig trees. Rather than actively hunt for food, it stays in the tree, and when some unsuspecting victim rests underneath it, the creature descends upon its victim, draining the blood with those suckers on its feet and hands. After its meal, the creature has a sip of water and takes a nap, which initiates a unique method of procreation. Upon awakening, the victim is regurgitated, and it now has a reddish tint to the skin. As the regurgitory process is repeated several times, the victim is eventually transformed into a Moehau. The Dark Watchers of California. No one knows exactly what these creatures are, or if they really are creatures. They're described as giant-sized dark silhouettes that have no facial features and are said to stalk travelers along California's Santa Lucia Mountains. They're most often reported around twilight and dawn, and sometimes appear to wear brimmed hats and carry walking sticks. They simply stand motionless and watch, and accounts of them have been included in the legends of the Chumash Native American people of California's Central Coast, and those reports date back to the pre-Columbian era. Spanish settlers also reported seeing the Dark Watchers when they first entered the region. According to legend, anyone trying to see the face will disappear. The FLATWOODS Monster. This bizarre creature was first reported in 1952 in Flatwoods, West Virginia, and most described it as being 7 feet tall, although we did find some accounts indicating it was 10 feet tall. This creature's body seemed to resemble a dark metallic exoskeleton with pleating, leading witnesses to think it was wearing a type of armor. Its head was diamond-shaped and had eyes about the size of $half that glowed green. A group of witnesses claim they saw a bright object cross the sky and land in a nearby field. That's where the monster made its initial appearance. They saw the creature gliding from a pulsating red light toward them, which caused the group to panic and flee. Local law enforcement later examined the scene and found long tracks in the mud, along with the residue of a thick black liquid. All that was interpreted as evidence of a UFO landing, which led many to believe a close encounter had occurred. And before we head to our number 1 cryptid, here's a couple of honorable mentions, both of whom sound kind of like superheroes. Mothman is one of our favorites on Crypto Fun Friday, and one of yours as well, it seems. The mysterious creature first appeared in West Virginia in 1966 and disappeared about a year later, just before the Silver Bridge disaster in Point Pleasant, but the legend certainly lives on. And Gator Man is an intriguing cryptid that was sighted in New Jersey in the 1970s. It was said to be a huge, scaled, human-like creature that inhabited the state's southern tier. Now, we couldn't find much information on this one, so if you have any details on the Gator Man, let us know. And by the way, while Bigfoot and the Yeti are humanoid cryptids, they're so well established, we thought we'd give them a rest this time round. Spiny-backed chimpanzees. An anonymous source in the U.S. Navy claims that sometime between 1997 and 2002, their unit was stationed in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where they witnessed more than a dozen bipedal chimpanzees that were trying to kill another animal. The chimps were described as colored uniformly gray and standing up to 5 feet tall, and incredibly, the animals had quills. not unlike those of a porcupine that were seen along the backs and would stand up when they were angry. The anonymous source never disclosed the exact location of this sighting, but they did claim that a short video of the creatures was shot, but that footage was evidently classified. Now, we found an animal native to Africa called a potto. It's a primate known to have a series of sharp protuberances along its neck that can be used as a defense mechanism, but the size wouldn't match up with these creatures. Could these porcuprimates really exist?